Welcome, everyone. Today we're exploring Seth's The Nature of Personal Reality. If you've ever felt like, your life is running on tracks you didn't really lay down yourself, well, this deep dive might just be for you. Our mission today, it's simple but kind of radical. We're diving into sources that really challenge how we experience life itself. The core argument that your personal beliefs, they're basically the architecture of everything you see and feel.
That's right. That's the absolute foundation here. You create your own reality. And it happens through beliefs, but often these are like invisible assumptions. We don't even know they're there. So
Yeah.
we're treating this like looking at a blueprint. We're going to explore exactly how these beliefs weave the fabric of your experience. And the consequences, physically and psychologically, can be pretty startling when you accept ideas without checking them.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part, isn't it? That initial hurdle. Our experiences just feel so, well, real, so factual. Like the sky is blue, gravity works, I'm this kind of person. The beliefs underneath all that, they just go totally unexamined. They feel like statements of fact, just too obvious to question, accepted as, just how reality is. I find it tough, that idea that solid facts might just be my own assumptions.
It really is the ultimate trick, isn't it? And the challenge is just seeing them. I mean, most people, they can talk about their beliefs on religion or politics, maybe sports. That's easy enough. But identifying those deep core beliefs, the ones about who I am or my basic worth or what reality even is, that's much harder.
So how do the sources talk about these? They use that term invisible assumptions. I think that that's such a great way to put it. These are beliefs we've accepted so deeply, maybe way back in childhood, that we just never, ever doubt them. They shape everything, they color your whole experience, but you don't see them as beliefs. It's like the background OS on your computer you never even knew was running.
Right. And finding them, well, the sources say we don't need years of digging, necessarily. What's interesting is that your own conscious thoughts, right now, give you excellent clues, immediate clues. Often the ideas or concepts you just automatically reject, the ones that feel totally impossible or way too out there. Yeah. Those reactions are actually showing you the limits of the belief structure you already have in place. You push the new idea away because, well, it just doesn't fit in the box you built a long time ago.
Okay, that grounds it a bit more. But why should someone listening right now really care about finding these?
Because these beliefs, they act like walls. Real, solid-seating walls. They represent the absolute limits of what you allow yourself to experience. So if you deeply believe success is hard, guess what? Your experience will be hard. That wall labeled hard is just a belief. It's not concrete reality. But you've got to see the wall first, right? Otherwise, you'll never realize you're actually free to just walk around it or explore beyond it.
That idea that our inner stuff limits our outer world, that takes us right into a pretty major psychological critique in these sources. For generations, particularly in the West, there's been this popular idea, and it's quite damaging, actually, that the subconscious is unreliable, full of negativity, something to be sealed off, like this dangerous place full of uncontrollable childhood feeling.
Exactly. And this view, this idea that your deep inner self is fundamentally untrustworthy, maybe even bad,
Yeah.
it creates this false split. People feel cut off from their own inner joy, their creativity. The sources argue this is just toxic, really limiting. And they even draw this surprising comparison, like old ideas like original sin. Well, at least they offered a simple way out. Baptism, confession, prayer.
Yeah, something immediate.
Right.
Whereas this modern evil subconscious idea, it often implies you need years of therapy, maybe expensive analysis just to fix it. It makes feeling whole seem like a luxury, right? For the wealthy. This concept basically cut people off from any idea of a reliable inner wisdom, like a soul, leaving them feeling vulnerable, subject to these uncontrollable inner forces.
But the true nature of the inner self, according to this material, it's the complete opposite. The inner part is dependable, it's spontaneous, it's joyful. It actually trusts you, even when you constantly doubt it. I mean, just look at your body. It breathes, it heals itself, it keeps going with amazing precision. All these complex biological things happening without you consciously managing them.
Okay, so if we connect that to the bigger picture,
Sure.
this completely changes the role of the conscious mind, doesn't it? That's section 615 in the material. Consciousness isn't some prison guard keeping bad thoughts locked up. It's more like a finely tuned mechanism. Its main job is directing external stuff, handling waking life. But the really crucial function, it's like a high-tech receiver, designed specifically to get and translate important data coming from the inner self.
Yeah, think of it less like a boss and more like a skilled diplomat. Its real value is in making decisions, setting a direction based on all the information it gets. It's meant to assess both inner conditions, that data from the inner self, and outer conditions, the environment. The problem really starts when you begin ignoring that internal data stream.
Right. And what happens when you ignore it? The sources say if you refuse to really look at the incoming data, both internal and external, you end up operating in what they call a semi-conscious state. You're just blindly accepting contradictory ideas, secondhand beliefs, because you didn't check the source, didn't check the data. And this is what causes the internal alarms to go off. That distress shows up as physical symptoms or anxiety or just feeling deeply dissatisfied. The pain isn't punishment, it's a signal. It's telling you your accepted beliefs are clashing with who you really are inside.
And this leads us right into maybe the most fundamental and mechanically fascinating part of this whole philosophy, the actual process of how thought becomes matter. We tend to think of our body as solid, separate, fixed. But these sources, they paint this incredibly integrated, flowing, energetic picture of reality.
That's a huge shift in perspective. But how do they explain the mechanics? How does that integration work? It says the body itself is an entity created by your inner self, just as naturally as it creates your feelings. But it doesn't stop at the skin. Your whole environment, everything around you is an extension of your inner self, materialized like instantly from your thoughts, your feelings, your core beliefs.
Yeah, and what's really wild here is the level of interaction that implies. It has to be constant. Your body's atoms, the molecules, are always moving, shifting, forming tissues, organs. But somehow they speak this complex language. There's an invisible governing force directing them based on your inner state.
Wait, so is this instant, like the body responds to belief immediately? Or is it more long-term? If my thoughts create reality, why don't I just, manifest $1 million right now?
Well, the sources suggest the exchange is constant and immediate. But manifestation seems to depend on the depth and consistency of the belief. It's not just a fleeting thought. Plus, the space outside your body. It's made of the same basic stuff as your body, just different in proportion, maybe less intensely organized. So there's this constant physical exchange happening between you and not you, the environment. Think about emotions. Any emotion releases hormones, right, into the blood. And these chemicals, they actually leave the body, kind of like breath, and they affect the atmosphere right around you.
Wow. So if I walk into a room angry, I'm literally chemically changing the air for everyone else?
On a small scale, yes, that's the idea. But here's the really big reveal. This extends to the environment globally. This is maybe the most radical claim here. That our collective emotional responses, our shared thoughts, feelings, beliefs, they actually contribute to the climate, the atmosphere itself. Physical storms, the sources suggest, can arise partly from this dense collective emotion, your energy translated into the feelings, thoughts, emotions. It causes all experience, no exceptions.
That's a staggering thought. If that's even partially true thoughts creating weather, then we absolutely have to look at the beliefs themselves. So since beliefs turn into reality, the sources give us this list, a kind of checklist of common limiting error beliefs to look out for. It's basically a guide to spotting cultural self-sabotage.
Yeah, the list is crucial because these ideas are so baked into our culture, they often just slip right past us. So watch out for things like, 1, life is inherently suffering or just really difficult. 2, the body is somehow base or sinful or contaminates the soul. 3, feeling helpless when things seem uncontrollable. That's a huge one, the idea that external stuff dictates your life.
And for those into deeper metaphysical ideas, there are challenges to rigid concepts of fate, too. Like number 4, the idea that your character is totally fixed in childhood. The past determines the present, no escape. And 5, the traditional view of karma that past lives totally dictate this one, leaving no room to change things now. Seth actually argues all incarnations exist at the same time, influencing each other, which makes that traditional view feel really restrictive.
And finally, number 6, that health and vitality just inevitably decline with age, which the sources say is purely cultural, self-imposed. And 7, that existence just ends when the physical body dies. If you find yourself nodding along to any of these thinking, yeah, that sounds right, well, that's exactly where you need to start looking. That belief isn't just a thought. It's an active construction project happening in your reality right now.
Okay, so we have this list of limiting beliefs. But if they're invisible assumptions, how do we even start to change them? How do you inspect something that feels like a fact? The sources introduce this core practice. They call it the first exercise. To understand yourself, you can learn to bypass the beliefs altogether and just feel yourself directly.
Right. And the technique is really simple, which almost makes it seem too easy. You just sit quietly, close your eyes, and try to feel that deep underlying feeling tone, that inner rhythm of your existence. It's the pure energy that's forming your flesh and blood, the energy that's constantly radiating out from you. You're basically connecting with the secure, dependable core of who you are, underneath all the surface noise like anxiety or self-criticism.
And the crucial rule here, the one I think most people might skip, is discard all the labels, all the preconceptions. You're not judging the feeling, you're just experiencing it.
Right.
The only standard is your own feeling. Don't use anyone else's idea of what you should be feeling. And the application. When you feel tense or down, you connect with this feeling tone to come back to that core. It's like a simple reset button.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why that active, almost skeptical examination is so important. Beliefs need looking at, not just passive acceptance. The sources really warn that lots of limiting ideas sneak in disguised as good concepts. That might be the most dangerous kind of self-sabotage.
Oh yeah, we see that clearly with the idea of negative focus, right? If you pour all your energy into hating evil or injustice, you're actually, in a way, manufacturing and feeding the very thing you hate by dwelling on it. If you spend all your mental time focused on disease or poverty, even if you're campaigning against them, your thoughts are still perpetuating those conditions energetically. It's a big conceptual jump. Hating war doesn't bring peace. Only the love of peace can actually bring peace.
It really demands accountability, doesn't it? And this is where that painter analogy comes in handy. Think of yourself as the painter. Your beliefs, those are your colors. Your personal reality, that's the canvas. The key realization is that you are not the color. You're not the paint. You're the consciousness using them. So if you choose a palette that's all gray and fearful and limiting beliefs, well, you can't really expect a vibrant painting, can you? The change has to start with consciously choosing different colors, a different palette.
And the consequence of not doing that, of inaction, it's pretty severe according to this. If you truly believe you're helpless or totally subject to external things like the economy or what politicians do, that belief itself is fundamentally untrue to your real nature. It's a mistaken belief. It clashes directly with your inner self. The sources say you chose your environment, your challenges specifically to overcome them, and the creative power to change things. It's still within you right now, regardless of what the current painting looks like.
So the final takeaway for you listening is really this. Your success, your joy, your vitality, they aren't outside gifts. They're not lottery wins. They spring entirely from internal events, and those events are shaped by your beliefs.
So what stands out most to you from all this? Maybe the key action item is simple but profound. Just grab a pencil and paper, start examining your constant self-talk, consciously write down the beliefs you just accept, especially the ones that feel like undeniable facts. Then try telling yourself this phrase regularly. Even though I believe this, it might not be true. That simple sentence can start to break the chain of just unconsciously accepting things.
And maybe a final thought to chew on. If you accept this premise that your thoughts literally flower into the events of your life, that there are no real cosmic accidents, then what current thought or feeling or belief are you actively growing right now that maybe needs a little pruning today?
That's a fantastic question to carry with you as you keep examining those invisible walls. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive into the nature of personal reality.